Good morning, you guys. Happy Wednesday. I am pumped to be back. I am slowly easing myself back into the groove of things after 2 weeks of really just like being under the weather, getting sick, just like all of the things that can happen at the end and beginning of a month, long holiday weekend. Getting back into the groove. I'm really excited to show up today because today's topic is super juicy. This is something that literally every entrepreneur needs to know, and I get asked this question a lot because a lot of entrepreneurs watch me and consume my content and wonder, well, how do you pump so much content out? How do you really become a content creation queen? Good morning, Andrea. So this is going to be a little bit of a longer training today, and if you guys have questions as you are hopping on, pop them in the comments below. Say hello if you're hopping on live, and bear with me, you guys, because I'm still getting over being sick. My nose is still kind of stuffy. It's okay. We're going to roll with it. So today we're talking about how to become a content creation queen. If you don't know me yet, if you're watching for the very first time, welcome. My name is Calandra, and I help visionary women design bomb-proof brands that stand out and attract their ideal clients with ease and authenticity. So we all know that as entrepreneurs, when you are growing a presence in the online space, you have to be able to show up in front of your audience so that you can get visible and get the clients, the paying customers in your business, right? You have to be putting out content. And how to do it without burnout. Yes. So I'm going to teach you all of the ways today. And this is something that we will be working off of inside Bombproof, right? We're going to dig even deeper into this with a lot of hands-on trainings and walkthrough tutorials. This is also something that I'm mapping out a course for, a mini course. So if this is a topic that you absolutely want more info on, just put a thumbs up or a high five or something in the comments below so that I can answer your questions and kind of pick your brain about what questions you have about content creation. So over the years, I have learned as an entrepreneur in the online space, growing a business online, sorry it's so wobbly, you guys, that you have to be in front of your audience and you have to be in front of the right audience, right? So there's a lot that goes into creating powerful content. The first thing that you need to be able to address is, who are you speaking to, right? Who are you talking to in your audience? It's really helpful for me when I am sitting down and writing content or I'm getting ready to create a video to think about one person I know, right? One person who is my ideal client. And it's kind of hard for my business because I have two different types of ideal clients. I have the high-level entrepreneur that is ready to hand off the design work in their business and wants somebody in their back pocket to be able to create graphics and fix their website and do all of those things. That's one type of ideal client that I have. But the other type of ideal client that I have, which I speak to a lot, really first and foremost in my branding, is the entrepreneurial woman who has this big vision, has this beautiful gift or gifts, and they need to be able to get that out into the world. Well, how do you do that? You do that with a cohesive brand. And so this is where the content comes into play, right? This is how I formulate my content. I think about one or two people that I've either worked with before or I see in the online space struggling or asking questions, and I address those questions. It's really simple. So you have to know first, before you're creating content, who are you speaking to? What problems do they have, and what is the solution that you have to offer up, right? You can't just be throwing stuff out there and hoping that maybe it will eventually lead to somebody buying something from you. You have to know what your client's journey looks like. If you're putting out free content, that free content should be leading to a free offer or a way for you to nurture your audience, right? So for me, it is my mailing list, it is my Facebook group, it is the free trainings that I have for you guys. There's a 3-part video series on my website that you can go grab, all about creating your brand vision. There's a free brand personality quiz. So those are kind of the first steps, right, in working with me. And then those steps, and I'm not going to dig into a client journey training today, but just to give you an overview, those steps funnel into continuous hand-holding and nurturing and taking care of that audience member, and then inviting them into my paid offers, right? So from point A to point B, you want to be walking your audience through a journey with you, solving their problem. So you have to know what that problem is. In order to create content, you need to be able to reverse engineer what it is that you're talking about, what free value you're sharing through your content, and then breaking that down even further into topics and subtopics. So I want to talk a little bit about the burnout aspect as we are working through this content creation queen idea, right? Because it sounds fine and dandy to show up and hustle your butt off and get your content calendar all mapped out and do all of the things while also taking care of your clients and maybe your kids or whatever you have on your plate, right? We have a lot of things on our plates as entrepreneurs, and if you don't have support, whether it's a VA or a team member or a coach or a nanny, whatever it might be, it's going to be really hard for you to sustain that. So if you want to be a content creation queen, you have to look at your priorities, and you have to be able to structure your days and your weeks and your months and your year so that your content is not only really helpful for your audience, but it's strategic in a sense that you can sustain creating it at the pace that you are creating it. So how do you do that? How do you build that avoidance of burnout? You want to be looking at your actual schedule, right? If you don't have a calendar or a planner or something, then you definitely need to have that in place. And you want to also be looking at when you are high energy, right? So for me, for example, and I like to use myself as an example because I know my business in and out, and I'd love to hear in the comments below, you guys, if you have a system for content creation and what that looks like, because I want this to be a conversation, and your method might be really helpful for somebody else to see. But for me, I know that I love to write first thing in the morning. So when I'm having my first cup of coffee, everybody else is asleep except for the kitten who does not leave me alone. I sit down with my laptop, I pull up a Google Doc with my cup of coffee, and I write. It doesn't necessarily always look strategic, but I allow myself to walk through the thought process in my brain and get it out onto paper, right? I like to type versus handwrite things because it's a lot faster for me. But whatever is your jam, right? Figure out in your schedule what times of the day, what days of the week are the days that you are able to create in a way that feels inspired. You want to feel the energy that you really want your audience to be able to absorb, right? Because if you're just showing up and saying, okay, well, I've got to write a blog post today, and I'm gonna just like sit behind my laptop and stare at the screen for 3 hours and hope that I have some sort of inspiration come along. No, you want to be sitting down creating your content from a space of excitement. So a lot of the times for me, it's first thing in the morning, or it's after I've gotten off of a client call earlier that week maybe. Anytime that I am having direct interaction with my ideal audience, right? Whether it's through talking to somebody in a Facebook group or coaching women in the group coaching program that I am a support coach in, all of these things trigger that excitement for me. So you have to figure out when you are looking at creating your content, what is the best time for you to do that? Is it after the kids go to bed and you have a quiet house, everybody else is asleep? Is it sitting outside in a park somewhere? I know that I also love to do that. I like to be out in nature because that just gets my creativity flowing. So figure out what works for you. Where do you feel most creative, and when do you feel most creative? Then, going back, and you guys, if this is too long of a training for you to watch live today, I'm going to record it. I'm going to save the replay, so this will go out to my mailing list this afternoon. So if you want the replay, go to my website, kalandramartin.com, youtube.com/freebies, and you can get the replay of this video later on. Andrea says she creates a list of topics, then creates posts and decides something will be a video, but I've left to know if it's not letting me see more. Trying to click the see more button and it doesn't like my finger apparently. Content creation editorial system or app where I can put these in. Yes. I'm going to share with you my secrets, Andrea, my go-to tools for this. So looking at the last month and last year and then linking directly to the post so you can revamp and reuse. Yes. We're going to talk about repurposing. So after you have figured out when you're going to create content, you want to go back and look at your client's journey, right? The end goal where you are leading them to, because you can't just create content for no good reason and just throw it out into the universe. That's not how you get paying clients. You want to be really strategic about the topics, right? You want to be really strategic about the things that you're talking about so that you can provide the yellow brick road, right, from The Wizard of Oz. That's been on my mind lately, you guys. Have you seen that they're redoing a lot of the children's movies? Love it. Obsessed with them. They need to do The Wizard of Oz. Put a little wizard hat in the comments if you agree with me. So you want to be leading them down the path, leaving the breadcrumbs to where they are ultimately going to go with the transformation that you provide for them in your business. So reverse engineering then, you want to outline, as Andrea said, the topics, right? You want to have an idea of what topics you are going to talk about. So for example, again, I like to give you examples because that's how my brain works. Is if I don't have an example, it's just like in one ear and out the other. So for example, in my business with branding and design, I talk about a few different things. I talk about the aesthetics, right? I talk about, like your website and your Facebook covers and all of those things. I talk a little bit about your messaging in your brand and really identifying like what your identity is in your personal brand. And then I also talk about things like we're talking about today, where we're touching on strategy. We're touching on social media marketing, all of these pieces. So those are the overarching 3 primary themes that I look at when I'm creating content. So you want to brainstorm. Good morning, Jen. You want to brainstorm what topics are you going to talk about? What topics are going to be helpful for your audience and your ideal client? Write those down. Write those big topics down on a piece of paper. This is your homework for this training, right? This is really an exciting training to share with you guys because it's going to give you so much power and momentum to go into quarter 4. Really ending the year with a bang. That is my mission for the rest of 2019 with the Bombproof program launching starting in September, and with the free content that I'm giving you. I want you to be able to go into the end of the year, finish the year out, and feel really, really strong in your business. So, speaking fast, let me take a sip of tea. If you guys are hopping on, say good morning, say hello to me. I'm obsessed with these. Do you guys drink these too? Yeah, my favorite. Okay, so you have these primary topics on a piece of paper. From there, what you want to do is create subtopics, right? How can you expand on whatever it is in your business? So for me, aesthetics. Well, aesthetics in branding means a lot of different things. It could be your website. It could be your LinkedIn profile banner photo. It could be your Pinterest graphics. It could be structuring your blog post to include images that follow your brand aesthetics. It could be your Facebook cover. Sorry, I just spit at you. There's so many subtopics under one umbrella topic, right? So you really want to allow yourself to get creative with this. Think about this. Ask people, and this is the next tip, ask people what they want to hear, right? You want to be, again, addressing your audience's questions and solving their problems. So you will see me do this a lot, and it's very strategic, but it's also because I love to have conversations with other entrepreneurial women. What questions do you guys have about designing a website? Or what questions do you have about figuring out your brand, right? Ask the people that you want to work with what they need to know, because when you address those questions and you show up as an expert in your industry, that is when people get to know, like, and trust you and buy into what it is that you have to offer. Super, super simple. The other day, my rant was about how people make business so hard. It's not hard. You find a problem that you can solve, and then you tell people that you can solve their problem. End of story. That's all we need to know. So poll your audience, ask them questions, ask other audience members. Maybe it's a Facebook group that you're in. Ask those people questions about what it is. My nose is dripping, you guys. It's driving me insane. Ask people questions about what it is that you can help them with, and then create those subtopic lists, right? So you have your primary topics, you have your subtopics, and you could go a step further and write even more subtopics, but don't get too far into the planning, because content creation does not happen unless you create the content, right? You could think all day long about what you're going to create and what you're going to share with the world. You could read articles and listen to podcasts on topics that you want to expand on and share with your audience all day long. But it is about creation over consumption. It is about sitting down and actually getting the work done in a way that feels really good. So, when you work best, you have the topics outlined, then what do you do with that, right? So you want to be able to look at how are you going to show up and take action. Now, Andrea asked a really great question about planning and editorial calendars and content calendars and all of those things. So I'm going to share with you a free tool, and there is an upgraded version, which is really helpful if you have a large scale business, but the free option, honestly, you guys, works so good for planning your social media content. So I will let you in on a little tip. I'm just going through the comments to make sure I'm not missing anything. If you guys are hopping on, say hi. Let me know what questions you have. I will address them today. It's kind of a Q&A style training. I do not always plan out my content. It is super, super helpful when I do, but I also allow myself room in my business, because I know how I work, for inspiration, right? When I have a hit of inspiration, I get on a live video. When I have a hit of inspiration, I might write out a blog post. So I don't have everything completely structured, but having an outline for when you're going to create things and having things already queued up in your calendar, right, scheduled out for social media, is going to give you that breathing room. It is going to allow you to avoid the burnout that you really, really don't want to fall into in your business. So very frequently, what I will do in my business is I will sit down. It's usually on a Saturday morning or a day where I can just sit behind my computer and nobody bothers me for a little while. And I don't have client work that I have to work on, right? When I'm working in my business and I sit down, I will try to plan out at least a month's worth of content for social media, all in one fell swoop. So let me tell you how to do that. The tool that you definitely need to look at, and there's a bazillion out there. You guys, this is not like the only tool that you can find. So just go to Google and search like Instagram or Facebook scheduler or something. They'll pop up. The one that I use and I love is Later, Later.com. It's free. There's a free option. It does Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, I think Twitter too. I don't use Twitter at all for my business, but I think it does that as well. New feature they just released is Insta Stories that you can plan out in advance, which is insane. So I use that platform because, let me just highlight some of the reasons. There's no affiliate here. I just love their platform. So shout out to Later. You guys are awesome. So many amazing features. You can upload videos and photos in bulk. You have a media library in the app itself once you create an account. And this is best on desktop, you guys. Make sure you're using the desktop version, not your phone. It's kind of hard to see everything all planned out. So you upload as much media as you want. I get photo shoots done for my business because it makes this process that I'm telling you about right now and teaching you today so much easier, because I have an entire folder on my computer of brand photos, right? Photo shoots that I have paid a professional to take. Yes, I'll be honest, although I am a brand expert, I am not a photographer, and anytime I try to take my own photos, they just the lighting is never good and it's bad. So I have paid for brand photo shoots, and I have a library of photos. I upload those photos to Later, and they're in my media library. Now on a separate tab on my computer, what I have is Google Drive. It's free. Again, there's literally no reason why you cannot be creating content for your business, because you have these free resources. If you can't hire a photographer, go out with your phone, prop it up on something and take some pictures. Like, do what you have to do, get resourceful. But I have a Google Drive account, right, for my Google account. And in Google Drive, I have copywriting. There's a folder called copywriting. And under that folder, I have specific months outlined. So for example, September 2019, copywriting. Inside that folder is a Google Doc that I can pull up on my phone, that I can pull up on my computer, literally anywhere. And I just write, right? I just write on the topics that I know that I want to expand on. So going back to the list that you have made at this point, hopefully, and you can rewatch this training again later. It's going out to my mailing list, and I might also publish this to my blog. So go to calandramartin.com, bookmark that site, and I'm going to share all of this stuff with you guys. I write in that document all of the things, right? All of the captions for my photos, all of the quotes that I might be making quote graphics with. Anytime I have a hit of inspiration, I pull up my notes app on my phone. I either voice memo it or I type it out. Sometimes I get really inspired when the kiddo is like sleeping in the back seat and we're just chilling in the car, and I'll be parked and I'll just type. I save all of that stuff in a document. One, because I want to make sure that I have it somewhere where it's not going to disappear. Google Docs automatically saves. So that's huge, because I learned the hard way that just typing things into Facebook doesn't always work, because the app used to close out on me and things would disappear and I'd get really frustrated. So that's my system. I use Google Docs and Later. I take the captions after I have quite a few written out, and we'll talk about repurposing in a minute. I take those captions and I pair them with photos that are in my media library that make sense, right? So a photo of me working on a laptop probably isn't going to be a post about taking a vacation, right? Just make sure that your photos and your captions pair really well. If you have a VA, make sure that that is something that you're telling them, just to make sure that those things translate really well. So taking the captions that I've written, right, writing content and plugging them into Later so that those two things are paired up, you now have an entire library of content waiting for you in this platform. And with Later, you can schedule it across different platforms. You can add hashtags in advance. All of the things that you need to do are right there. So if you're scheduling social media content, super easy way to do that. Now, I also want to talk about video content, and if you are writing blog posts, right? So same idea, sit down and do it in advance. In my website account, you can see in the back end if you logged in right now, I have like probably 6 to 8 blog posts started, at least the titles of them drafted. So looking at those topics that I wrote out, the primary topics and the subtopics, I can then plug those into my blog, save them as a draft, and expand on them when I have the time to sit down and really think about the content and map it out strategically, right? So preparing yourself in advance for these things, thinking about them in advance, is going to help you be consistent. Same thing with video content. Even if it is not pre-recording videos in advance, high-paying, you can always write out just the topics, right? Grab a calendar. I have in my car somewhere, let me see you guys. Good old like paper planner. And in the month portion, let me pull it up, show you what I used to do. I still sometimes do this. I'm not super consistent, to be honest, you guys, with planning. Not my strong suit, which is why I'm hiring somebody to help me with the actual implementation of the bright ideas that I have. So you can pull out a calendar like this and look at your month strategically, right? What are you launching? What are you sharing? What offers do you have? And where can you plug in these days in your calendar some video topics. So I could say on the first Monday of October, I don't even know what page this is open to, I'm going to do a video about whatever. Plug it into your calendar somewhere. Set a reminder for yourself if you're using a digital calendar. That's really helpful. And just have that idea already mapped out, because when you put the idea in place and you start to take the actions, they compound over time, and it gets so much easier over time to do the things that were once really difficult. So for example, Facebook Live video. If you are uncomfortable doing video, start doing video once a month or once a week. Plug it into your calendar. You have an appointment with yourself for your business to create this type of content. Excuse me. So the more that you do that, you build the muscle, right? You are strengthening the muscle to be able to do the things that you know you need to do for your business, like create content on a consistent basis. Now, it's really important to be planning stuff like this in advance because, and this is where my expertise comes in, you want to be staying consistent and cohesive for your audience. Because if you're talking about random ass things all of the time and you're all over the place and your images don't line up and things just look weird, your Instagram feed is like scary, people get confused. They do not know that you have a problem that you can solve for them, right? Or you have the solution to their problem. Whatever. I worded that weird, but you get the idea. You want people to know right away when they land on your social media platforms, when they are consuming your email content, that you can solve a problem for them and they know what that problem is, right? So planning your content in advance really helps you do this in a couple different ways. It helps you maintain consistent messaging, right? You're consistently talking about the same 3 to 4 topics that you're listing out when you are making your content list, right? And subtopics. People are hearing the same thing over and over from you. That is how you build a really strong brand identity. You talk about the same shit over and over again, and I promise you that people are not sick of hearing it. If they're sick of hearing it, they don't need your solution, right? And if that's the case, they don't belong in your audience anyways, and they will unsubscribe or unfollow. Simple. The people that do need to hear your message will stay around. They will hear the same thing 10 different times in 10 different ways, because I promise you, you're never going to create content that is exactly the same as it once was. I've talked about this specific topic at least 6 times before. I've done live trainings on this before, and it's still different from the last time, right? You really want to be providing the simple solution for people over and over again and getting it in front of them. That is why content creation is super important. That's why, you guys, there's advertisements on TV. You don't see the same Chapter 11 furniture commercial over and over and over again for no reason, right? You don't listen to the same song on repeat 50,000 times. I don't know if you guys have done that before, but there's songs that I've been listening to since I was like 10 and I still love them. I still listen to them because it resonates, right? Because I like them. So your audience, the people that really want to invest in your brand, are going to be okay with listening to the same topics, listening to the same trainings in a slightly different way every single time that you post them. So this is where your brand consistency comes in. And when you pair your messaging, I've talked about this before. Excuse me, you guys. Hold on. Let me get a sip of tea. I'm losing my voice. Here we are, choking live on Facebook. Andrew says, good reminder. We need to hear things at least 3 times. More than 3 times. Way more than 3 times. Like at least 7 times. Before we can embody and connect to it. Yes. So when you are creating content and your message is consistent and you're pairing that with the visual aesthetics of your brand, right? Your brand colors, you guys can see my really chipped purple nail polish. It's my brand color. Black shirt, brand color. Everything that I share on social media is consistent with my brand aesthetics. So when you're creating content in advance, it's easy for you to look at, from a bird's eye point of view, what content you're sharing and whether or not it looks cohesive. This is also really important when you're looking at like structuring your website, structuring your blog posts, all of these things. You want to leave your mark. You want to leave your brand in people's mouth, right? You want them to walk away and be like, I want more of that. That was so good. So really start to think about how you can be strategic. I have a dent in my thumb from holding my phone, you guys. That's a sign that this training has been really probably too long. So your action steps for this training is to sit down and look at, one, do you have a content creation strategy in place? If you don't, start to put this stuff into place. Look at the topics that you're speaking to, right? Whether it's through a blog post, through a video, whatever your medium is, right? Identify what that medium should be for you, for your business, because it's going to be different, right? Maybe you love to write, maybe you love to speak, maybe podcasts are your jam, whatever it is. And then get specific on the topics that you're going to share on, and then get yourself a strategy that is scheduled into your calendar for creating that content. So use a scheduler, free options out there. I use later.com. Get your visuals uploaded into your library somewhere and get your content mapped out in a place that you can easily access, and start to plan it out strategically around the offers that you have and around what your audience wants to hear. Super simple. That's it. So I know this is a really long training. I hope that it was really helpful for you guys. If you found it helpful, I would love for you to share out this video. I will be taking the replay down. So if you guys are watching this live right now on Facebook, this video is going to come down. I'm going to save the video file and it's going out to my mailing list, and it will be on my website later this week. So calandramartin.com/freebies. You can get on the mailing list. You will have access to this again. And we will be expanding on this even deeper, in more depth, in more detail inside Bombproof. So Bombproof is a 6-week group coaching program that is starting in September. The doors are closing September 18th, which I am freaking out about because we're almost there. We are so close. There's already 2 women that have reserved their spots for Bombproof. That means that there's 6 spots total left, and this is a 6-week program where we are going to really dig in and help you formulate a brand that stands out, a brand that attracts your audience, that feels really authentic to you, that feels really good and easy, so that you can enter into the new year feeling extremely powerful and bomb-proof, hence the name. So if you guys want more info on that, you can send me a message or you can head to my website to learn more. And today's training will go out to my mailing list later today. So those are your action steps, your things to do. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week, and I will probably talk to you on Friday. So let me know if there is a topic that you want me to address on Friday in the comments, and I will put it in my little notes of topics to be talking to you about. So sending you guys love. I will talk to you very soon.